well. Welcome back to another episode of our Soul Care Wednesday. Obviously, coming a little bit later to you guys because I have been at work today, and today's episode will not be different from what we've been doing before. I'll try to be as quick as I can because obviously, if you've been here for a minute, you'll know Wednesdays are my Bible study days, so I do not want to take a lot of time on this. So today's episode, I was just actually thinking about something earlier on that I was speaking to somebody, and it triggered me to think about boundaries. And I know I'm talking about the B word. And I was thinking about setting healthy boundaries because obviously we've talked about things like forgiveness on this channel. We've talked about things like letting go. We've talked about things like gratitude and all those kind of things. But today I thought I've never covered the topic of boundaries, and potentially that could be something useful for someone today. So setting healthy boundaries, of course, is something that is really important because it can help us, especially with soul care. As I always say, 3 John 2:1 says, "Beloveds, I pray above everything else that you will prosper and be in good health even as your souls prosper." And so when you're maintaining healthy boundaries, they can be good for your mental health, they can be good for your emotional health, your soul care, and of course your physical well-being as well. It is important for you. It will help you define where you and others begin and where you end, because you find that sometimes people in our lives can actually forget where they begin and where they end. They should know. It should be very clear as well, not just for others, but also for us to know in somebody's life, where do we start and where do we end. And of course, when you're thinking about that, they will protect your time, they'll protect your energy, they'll protect your values, they'll protect your self-worth as well. So when you're talking about healthy boundaries, so what are really healthy boundaries? Of course, this is something that you might want to think about, is just having those limits where you set in a relationship to protect yourself from being manipulated, used or violated by others, and also to ensure that at the end of the day there is that mutual respect between you and other people. There's that understanding, right? As well as there's gonna be that opportunity for you to be able to have that personal autonomy. Why healthy boundaries? It is really important because at the end of the day, it will help you prevent a burnout and resentment when people don't do what they say they will do, and things like that, when people show up in ways that you were not really expecting at all. Healthy boundaries as well, they're good because they will build healthier relationships. Hello, Venom, I can see you. They'll help you with building healthy relationships. Healthy boundaries are good because as well they will help you to promote self-respect and self-awareness. Healthy boundaries can also help you to reduce anxiety and stress, and sometimes unfortunately some of the anxiety and some of the stress we have is usually unnecessary. So I'll spend a few minutes just talking about what are really different types of boundaries, so that when you're trying to think of how can I be able to set healthy boundaries, you need to understand the different types of boundaries. Be able to say, I'm not comfortable talking about this right now, in a way that will make you feel okay with that. If you want to talk about something, you'll talk about something. If you don't want to talk about something, you will not talk about something. There are also physical boundaries. These will help you a lot of times to help people to respect your personal space and physical needs. We live in a society where people really don't value much of that, and my son usually tells me post-COVID, we were taught about the 2 meters rule, right? The distancing, stay 2 meters away, give me that 2 meters away from the other person. Just that personal space is important, and you may want to invite people into your personal space, but of course it is important also for you to tell yourself and to know when you need time alone to recharge. I've mentioned this openly. I'm almost 100% of an introvert, believe it or not. I tend to talk a lot, which helps me with my being introverted, but I really get a lot of energy and recharge when I'm alone. That's the time when I think of stuff around my life. That's the time when I think about my career and things like that. When I'm alone, I draw so much energy from being by myself, but of course also I love being with other people. So I need some time alone to recharge myself. There is also the time boundary where you guard your time. Highness, I can see you. You guard your time and your energy, right? What are you using your time for? Some of us, we wake up in the morning, we will be on social media. No offense about that, no disrespect about that. If you want to be on social media, that's completely fine. But when you're thinking about things like social media, when you're thinking about your energy, my friend Abby usually says to me, what you give energy to will grow. Sometimes we fight battles that we shouldn't be fighting because our energy is so much misplaced. If I want peace, that's where I will really prioritize my peace and manage my energy, so that at the end of the day, I can say to myself, I can't stay late today, I have another commitment, or I can't come to your house today because of ABCD, or you cannot come to my house today because I need time to recharge. Being able to have that time and setting that time boundary can be helpful. And there is the mental boundary where you honor your thoughts, right? Your values, your opinions. I respect your opinions, but I say this differently. You can disagree with that with someone without being disagreeable, if that makes any sense. I can respectfully tell you, sorry, Ines, I don't really agree with this because, of course, I see things differently, and that will help you to be able to maintain and to have that mental boundaries. And then of course there is the digital. We know that already. What time, like personally, I have set up I told myself I try not to work on the weekends. When I come back home after, today is a different day because I've been at work. I've just come back, had a late meeting. I've just come back. I haven't even gotten to my house yet. So it's a different day. But normally I don't do work after around 6 p.m. That's time with my little boy. That's time with my family, and I protect that time. My students know if they email me on a Sunday, I'm not going to email back on a Sunday. Hi, Hema, I can see you. Because Sunday for me is my church day. I'm not going to use my church day to email you. So I continue to kind of have those times that I switch off my emails. There are times that if you call me, people who have called me before, they know, if you call me past 7 p.m., you will not find me on my phone, because after that time, it is time for me to be with my family. And then once I've finished off with my family, it's time for me to be in bed. So protecting yourself from that, having those digital boundaries can be useful. I can see all of you. Thank you so much for catching up with us today. And then of course there's the material boundary. You set limits on, for example, if you're a couple, I have learned it the hard way. You need to learn to say, this is the boundary in terms of finances. Sit down and talk with your spouse, with your partner, with whatever, and know in terms of budgeting. Ask yourself, am I comfortable if my husband, for example, gives out X amount of money to someone without telling me? Am I comfortable lending out my car to someone? Am I comfortable? What is it that will make me okay if somebody comes to me to borrow money today? Is it something that I want the money back? And if it's not something I want the money back, am I okay with surviving without that money? Having those ideas and also just protecting the wealth that God gave you is important, because for me, usually I say 3 things are important. Relationships, that includes, number 1, your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, your relationship with friends. Number 2, It all goes back into your health, prioritizing your health, exercising, drinking your water, doing all those kind, eating healthy. And number three, of course, is your wealth. How can you protect your wealth if you don't have any boundaries when it comes to your wealth? And so as I bring this kind of to land, I just want to talk a little bit about how do you set healthy boundaries. Know your limits, right? Number one, reflect on what makes you feel safe, valued, and respected. If you're in a relationship, does that relationship, I'm not meaning boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, it could be even just like work relationship, friendship, and things like that. Do you feel you are valued? Do you feel safe? Do you feel you are honored and respected? Be direct and clear. Communicate your boundaries assertively but not aggressively. Start small. Practice with manageable situations. It is also feel good for you to use things like I statements. I feel overwhelmed instead of blaming other people. Prepare for a pushback. Some people may resist your boundaries, but be ready. Stand firm with kindness, and of course enforced with consistency. And so red flags to your boundaries, to show that your boundaries are being violated. If you feel drained after interacting with these people, if you're constantly saying yes out of guilt. My friend Abby will again say to me, Claire, no is a complete sentence. If you cannot speak up for yourself, you're constantly saying yes to stuff, you're constantly saying yes, and because you're saying yes out of guilt, not because you're saying yes because you really want to, that's a red flag that you need to watch out for. You speak out of fear. You compromise your values, your values and your worth just to be able to please other people. That's some red flag to be able to look out for. And of course, the final thing that I would love to end up with today is just to encourage us to learn how to make affirmations for boundaries, for setting boundaries and things like that. I love affirmations. I learned these a few years, maybe years or months back, and it's something that has really helped me. You can always remind yourself, Claire, it's okay to say no without feeling guilty. I honor my needs and protect my peace. I deserve relationships that feel safe and respectful. And once you have those relationships and you have those boundaries, or you have those affirmations, it will always help you to remember and to go back to your why is this relationship existing in the first place? Is it serving the purpose to which it should serve? And if it doesn't serve the purpose, the best thing sometimes to do is to say, as they say, kiss them goodbye and get off. That will be easier. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you. Such an amazing pleasure to have you all. I need to bring this to an end, obviously, because I have got to go and do other things. If you're new here, my name is Claire. As I said, it's been a pleasure having you. I pray you have a great evening. Know that you're loved, celebrated, and appreciated. Until next week, when we do episode number 36, have a great evening. Good